Hello, hello. How is everyone doing on today? I pray all is well. If you have not shared this broadcast already, I don't know what it is that you are doing. Make sure you take the time out to share this broadcast so others can be blessed, so others can be encouraged on today. We've got a phenomenal lineup. For those that don't know, I am Dr. Venesia Williams, the #1 prophetic empowerment coach. I am the founder of the Power of Love Ministries and the Empowerment Club, where we equip, empower, and elevate people to their next level so that they can live life by purpose and faith in abundance. So I am so excited about each and every person that has taken the time out to tune in. All of our past guests, this series has just been so phenomenal. So many testimonies that are so transformative. You know, the word says that by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimonies, we conquer the enemy. But I'm telling you, these powerful testimonies from pain to purpose, the processes that some of these individuals had to really go through to really push to that next level. Somebody say that, there's work that needs to be done. You don't just move from pain to purpose without doing any work. There is work to be done. And this is what I love about these type of platforms, so that you can really be encouraged and inspired to do the work, do the inner work, do the work that needs to be done so that you can truly begin to live life on purpose, so that you can overcome those hurdles, those past pain, those past hurts, and really begin to flourish in every single area of your life. So without further ado, I am going to bring on our phenomenal trailblazing, speakers of today. Like, you are going to be so blown away once again. Listen, even if you're on the replay right now, you 5 minutes in, you need to share this broadcast. Yes, you there. I see you. You need to share, tag a few people, slide up in the DMs, send it to them, because it's about to get real good up in here, okay? So let's bring on our guests on today. We got some phenomenal guests joining us on today. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? I am so excited on today because we have some male energy in the building.
Yes.
Look, I don't know why people don't think I work with men. I got some good brothers that I'm connected to. So thank you so much, Maurice, for adding value on today, for sharing, for being a part of this panel. So we will let you go first. Just introduce yourself. Let the people know what it is, who you are, and what it is that you do.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. I am an author, a speaker, and a coach. I help leaders to turn faith, to get from fear into faith, and to shift from imposter syndrome into your God-given purpose. There are so many people who get stuck and get lost in their head and in their emotions, and they never get to that purpose that they're actually here for. So that's what I do. I'm excited to be here and for this conversation.
Thank you so much. Absolutely love it. So phenomenal. Please, Takeya, I hope I'm saying that right. Please do introduce yourself and let the people know what it is that you do.
Hey guys, I'm Takeya Necole, and I am the empowerment coach, but I also do help people build unshakable faith and an unshakable business. And so I really want people to step more into their purpose and their calling. And I'm just super excited to be here. So that's just a little bit about what I got going on. I'm an author, speaker, and man, I just love sharing God's word and sharing what God has gifted me to do.
Amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it. Chandra, please. I hope I got that right.
You know, it's one of those names. So, we gonna fix it. We gonna fix it. My name is Chenadra Washington. I am the very, very proud owner and founder of Black Orchids PR. We are all things Black women in visibility. At the end of the day, that's what we do. We help Black women get seen and heard, and we love doing it. I am, at the end of the day, a servant and a forever learner. Those two things will forever describe me, and whatever I'm doing, we've been able to touch a lot of different things pretty quickly, and that's because of our commitment to service and showing up for who we are and claiming it and walking in it. And I am very honored to be here on today.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And over to you, Dr. Lashonda.
Yes, first and foremost, I am a woman of God. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I am an entrepreneur. I am a best-selling author. I am also an award-winning life coach and instructor. I'm a community advocate and a personal development partner where I encourage all to bet on themselves no matter what adversities we face in life. So that's a little bit about who I am and what I do.
Amazing. Thank you. I told you we have some phenomenal guest speakers on today. So as our topic is pain, from pain to purpose, I want to know, what does that mean to you in a few words? We're going to go around just in the same order and just speak for a few minutes of what that actually means to you, that statement right there.
I truly believe that pain is either something that is a stumbling block to your purpose or a catapult for it, right? It's something that you grow through and you grow because of, or something that either hinders your growth, stifles your growth, or you grow the wrong way. You grow bitter, you grow angry, you grow frustrated, or you grow hopeless, right? And so it's either something that propels you forward or something that holds you back.
I agree with that 100%. I always tell people pain will move you differently than any other emotion that you can feel. And so it's one of those things that will bring you more into who God really truly needs you to be sometimes by that work that has to be done. And yeah, it like I said, it's painful and it's uncomfortable, but it's also necessary.
Yes. Woo.
For me, I mean, nobody's exempt from pain. And that's the thing about it. It's not even personal like that. So when you can start saying it's not even personal like that, and what you gonna do with it? You gonna sit and wallow in it, or you gonna figure out what to do and move on? So when I tell people they come to me with pain, it's not that I'm not empathetic to it, but it's like, what's next? What you gonna do? Y'all feel me?
We feel you. I love it. Over to you, Dr. Lashonda.
So I believe that pain is, first, I agree with everything that has already been said. And then pain to me is just here to help us grow. It's here to teach us lessons because in order for God to elevate us and move us to different levels in life, there has to be a season of adversity, because that's where we're going to find those tools, those lessons that we're going to need for our next levels. So it is very necessary, even though it is painful and it does not feel good and it does not always look pretty when we're going through, but it is very necessary.
Yes, that's so good. It is definitely necessary. And we're gonna go on now and really begin to dive into your testimonies, your stories, what God has led in your heart to really share on this platform, to really encourage, empower, and inspire others to continue. I know there may be some people watching that may be at that place where, they feel like, is the pain going to ever end? Like, what am I to do, in that dark place? And, You know, I'm sure just everyone tapping into this topic today, from pain to purpose. For me, that pain was that dark place, that place where I felt like, you know what, the only way has to be up, because it cannot get any lower than this. It's excruciating. Like, life is just, what can I do? Or what is it that I've done? You know, when you get to that place where you're like, listen, you stop blaming everybody else, and God gets you to that place where, what's going on with me? Like, I cannot be experiencing this cycle of pain so repeatedly. Like, something has to stop. It has to end. And then you start looking within yourself. You start reaching that actual turning point. And I think that's what From Pain to Purpose really is. It's that turning point. When you're turning now that pain into something else, you're turning that pain into power, you're turning that pain into now a journey of how am I going to progress forward? Because I don't want to remain in that same place. Something has to shift. Something has to shift me out of it. And we're going to hear from our phenomenal guest on today. What was that shift for you from pain to purpose? And we'll go ahead with Maurice. The floor is yours to share.
You know, you asked the question, how much longer am I going to feel like this? And what I remember most was wondering a different question: how can I end this quickly? There were moments that I had, and I specifically remember a moment back in 2016, sitting in a car driving down a highway, foot pressed all the way on the gas, trying to figure out would I go right and drive off of the road, or go left and drive into the embankment on the side. Trying to figure out, how can I just end this, because enough is enough and I can't take this anymore. By that point in my life, I had already been an award-winning musician. I had licensing deals along with my band with MTV and VH1, and had accomplished a whole bunch of things in my music career. But here's what I noticed: none of the accomplishments ever made me whole, ever made me full, ever made me feel like my life had worth or value. And the truth is, as I was driving in the car that day, I was thinking back very quickly, like that moment where all of your life flashes in front of your eyes, and I don't ever remember being happy. I laughed a lot and I smiled a lot and I joked a lot, but the truth is, I grew up in a household with abuse and trauma and pain, and I'd carried that pain into my adulthood and been bitter and broken and lost and frustrated, and now here I am trying to figure out, how do I make this go away? The only thing that saved me that day was hearing a still small voice of God. Literally, God saved my life. And I wish I could say that that day everything shifted in a moment, but it didn't. I still had more pain to endure. A month and a half later, my brother died. He drowns in this boating accident. He's the second brother to die in 2 years. And here I am in a moment of just feeling extreme emotional pain, wondering, what on earth do I do with this? I learned later that the real question was, what outside of this earth do you do with this? What in heaven do you do with this? What did God intend for me to do after this? Because I can die from this thing or truly live from this thing. And so from that moment, I went on a journey of trying to find my purpose. And I found my purpose in healing. I found my purpose in realizing that I wasn't my pain, that my trauma didn't define me, that the tears needed to be cried. You said earlier, finally, some male energy. Imagine going through trauma, but as a man, we don't talk about this. Going through heartache and heartbreak, but as a man, we don't deal with this. Tough enough. Deal with it. Well, guess what? I toughened my way to suicide. And so fortunately for me, I was drinking all through then. I was high every day, drunk every night, in a terrible place. For some reason, my girl didn't leave me. She's my wife now, but back then she was just my girlfriend. How she didn't leave, how I didn't lose everything is only the grace of God. And so the message that I have for today is simply that I learned that the story I believed about my life mattered. That I was believing that my life had no value and no accomplishment could give it value. When I began to see my life not only through my own healthier lens, but through the lens that God gave me, the lens of Him being the one who knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb, it gave me new perspective, new insight, and it gave me hope.
Wow, that was so powerful. My God. We're going to allow everyone to come back up and just pour back into Maurice. That's what we love to do here. When somebody's outpoured with such power, such value, such transparency, we want to just give the time for everyone else to take a minute and just pour back into them and say what encouraged you, what stood out to you. Go ahead.
Maurice, you said, how the questions you asked, how can I end this quickly? And one of the things that I noticed is that, and that I learned even in my season of go through, was that we try to rush through that season, right? We want to hurry up and get to the ending. We don't like all of that discomfort. So when I tell you that was so empowering, and that right there, I hope people caught that. I hope people really caught that, because you cannot rush this. It's going to happen how it's going to happen, the way God intends for it to happen.
For me, it was the different layers. Maurice said, number one, he didn't feel happy. That's a whole battle by itself. Then the brother say he lost not one, but two brothers. We talking about grief on double grief. We don't like to talk about the layers, because the pain doesn't mean it's going to be one layer of the onion. It could be brother, let me tell you, you have persevered. So to give it a voice as a male, as a black male, I salute you. So I don't take it lightly that you here with me, because I got a whole black fiance and a black son in here, who it will be my great privilege if they had pain, if they ever gave voice to, it will be a great privilege of mine. So for you to be in here doing that and peeling back layers, hey, that means everything to me. So wherever you are on this journey of pain, I don't know if you're still in it, you still think you got a few steps. You just stand there. You just stand there, because from my mouth to his ears, it is done. It is done in His name. It's done.
Lashonda, would you like to pour back into Maurice?
Yes, I just want to commend you as well for just being on here and being so transparent about what you was going through. We do not have a lot of males to stand up and be open and honest about their feelings, and transparent about their journey. So kudos to you for that. Everything that you said was so inspiring. But the thing that stood out to me was how you pointed out the trauma from your childhood and how it followed you into adulthood, which led you to that very place where you was thinking about driving off the side of the road or going straight into something, had you to the place where you were basically about to lose your mind and wanted to end it all. And so for you to face your pain, that was a huge deal, because oftentimes we want to run away from the pain. But in order to get where we're trying to go, we have to learn how to face it head on, no matter what it feels like. And then the fact that you were trusting God, you wasn't trying to do this. At some point, you surrender it to Him and stop trying to work in your own strength. And so I'm just inspired by your story. I would definitely love to hear more. And I'm just honored to be on here and have you a part of the panel representing all the kings. I too have a male husband and a son, nephew, and grandson. So thank you for being the face for our men.
You are incredibly welcome. And one thing I would say, Dr. Lashonda used the word journey. And one thing that I think that is important for people to know is that healing from pain is a journey. It's not a moment, right? It is a continuous healing. The fact that I've written the books that I have and spoken in front of the audiences I have and the people that I coach is because I make the journey count. As I've gotten healthy, you have to give back the lessons. When you let go of the trauma and let go of the grief and let go of the pain, you then have room for new wisdom. And it's when you then give that wisdom away that the world begins to change because you're healthier. And so I thank you all for your words, but that's it.
That was just so powerful. I just love hearing Maurice tell his story, just speak and encourage. Also, please let them know about your podcast and how they can reach you.
Absolutely. So my podcast is called Hope Rising. So look up Hope Rising with Maurice F. Martin. You can find me on at mauricefmartin.com. Please go follow me on social media at Maurice F. Martin. I'd love to be a part of your transformation and part of your healing journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure each and every person take the time out to go follow the podcast and connect with Maurice. He's got some phenomenal things coming up, and you'll hear more at the end. So don't go now because there's more to come. Okay, we're gonna go over to Takeya. I don't know why I get tongue-tied sometimes, but I'm loosed in the name of Jesus. Go ahead, woman of God. Go ahead.
One of the things I want to say before kicking this off is, one, you might hear my air conditioner in the back. This has been quite interesting. The enemy's trying to distract me, obviously. So yeah, I'm out of air, and they're trying to get it fixed. So that might be what you hear in the background, but I don't want to take away from this experience because I believe that this message is very, very important for people to hear. One thing I would like to say is pain is definitely a part of life, and people experience it in different ways. And for me, it came from personal losses. For the end of last year, the last 6 months of that time was the worst things that I have ever encountered in life. Me and my husband split. And so we were no longer together. I have a daughter, and we were trying to work those things out. It did not end nicely, to say the least. And all while I was trying to gather myself and deal with those things, I got the word that this was going to be the last time, the last Thanksgiving, the last Christmas, possibly, that I was going to spend with my grandmother. And for anybody that know me, I am a granny's baby. And I know there's some other people out there. If you ever lost your granny, I know some of y'all that have been close to them, y'all know that feeling of loss, that hole, it just kind of never feels. And I'm gonna do this without crying, okay? But it was extremely difficult to go through such disruption in my relationships around me. You know, like Maurice said, I wanted to hurry up and get to the good part. I'm like that. I'm literally like the TikTok song, can we skip to the good part? Like, that's where I wanted to go, to the good part of all of the things that I was facing. This is all new to me. I did not sign up for this. And here's the thing that I love about God is that even though I didn't sign up for it, he had already shown me glimpses of what my future was supposed to be. Okay. And because I got the glimpses of what my future was going to be, I was focused on that. And I was thinking that all the people that was with me was going to be with me. But can we look at Joseph's life real fast? Because had he not gone through all those things that prepared him to be able to stand like he was and position his family the way he was, and somebody would have told him, listen, you know, you're gonna have to go through all these things, he probably would have walked away. He probably would have been done right there. Like, I'm good, y'all, I'm gonna bounce on this part. And that's exactly almost how I felt. Like, it's okay, I'm gonna go ahead and exit right here. But one of those things that I had to learn in this whole experience is one thing that stuck out, and I ride on this scripture was Psalms, I think it's 34. Listen, I sought the Lord and he heard me. I cannot tell you how many times I had to cry saying that verse during 6 months. Can't tell you. I can't tell you. I heard someone say this about the fact that I knew my grandmother was going home, and everybody likes, no one likes to deal with grief, right? No one likes to deal with somebody, that they're transitioning out of life. Like they're no longer going to be here. And we don't know how to deal with that. And so a lot of people like to say, oh, we're still praying, we're still hoping. But let me tell y'all something. On top of all of that, the Lord showed me in a dream that my grandmother wasn't going to be here. He already showed me. So I got a dream a week before she died, 7 days before she died. I had a dream. And in that dream, I knew she was going home. I knew it. It gave me such peace. I knew she was going to go home. And the hard part was me having to tell eventually, once she became nonverbal on Christmas, that she was not going to be here with us on the 28th. Fast forward, the 28th, my grandmother dies. I knew this. See, what I've learned through all of this is that, one, I had to acknowledge this pain. It's discomforting. The second hardest thing, I don't know if anyone ever had to deal with this, but I had to deal with heartbreak and grief at the same time. And it's different when you heartbreak and you're grieving for that, from which you don't have no more, and all of those things. But it's a totally different experience. Like, this is my woman right here, and she's gone. And so what the Lord has showed me in this fast forward was I couldn't hold on to both. I had to, in order for me to start my healing journey the way I needed to do it, the Lord had to let me go. I had to let that one part of it go. And for me, it was, okay, I'm surrendering this heartbreak to you. I gotta let it go. I can no longer deal with the back and forth, the energy that is costing here, because I'm literally fighting to survive this heartbreak, this other loss in my life. So one thing had to go. It's hard, man, going through a heartbreak and grief at the same time. And for someone that was so important in my life, I took this woman to her doctor's appointments. I was right there with her through her healing journeys, through when she lost her own daughter, my dad's sister. Like, I was there. And now I'm looking around like, who gonna be here for me? Because the person I thought was supposed to be here for me, he don't want me. So I had to acknowledge the pain. And the next thing was, the turning point for me was, once I did that and I surrendered, I realized this: God wastes nothing. He wastes nothing. It's Jeremiah 29:11 in here. He know the plans. If he allowed this, then I'm supposed to go through it. And like I told Maurice, it's going to take as long as it's going to take for the time it's going to take, period. And so what I want to tell y'all today is, when you're stepping into challenges and things where you just didn't expect it, the first reaction might be to cry, because it was mine. I was crying. I ain't no holier than thou thug, okay? I cried. I cried a lot of tears. I lost a lot of weight. But through this, when I tell y'all, I was dragged by the hem. I didn't just touch the hem. I was dragged by the hem during this past 6 months. That's exactly what I was. You're going to have to dig down deep. What I like to tell people that I coach and that's looking for that solid faith foundation, it's about the relationship. What kind of relationship? How can you, when God is coming to you and he's showing you different things, are you going to accept the challenge and grow through it? And so I want to encourage y'all that if you're going through a tough time right now, get you some scripture, baby. Sit down and meditate on that word day and night, because that's what it tells us to do. Meditate on the word day and night. And that's what I had to do. So, y'all, I embrace this and truly move forward in all the pain. And if I can do it through all of that, I'm sure anyone else can do it too. Because there's nothing special about me.
Wow, that was so powerful, so transparent, like just so in the now. Like I could literally just feel everything that you was experiencing through the way you was expressing. And I'm a grandma's baby, but I'm a great grandma's baby, and I experienced, those losses. And I'm telling you, it's a process. It is a process, but the greatest thing through your story, and even with the situation with your husband, is that I feel that connection got so much stronger with God. So much stronger, and you know him now as your strength. You know him now as your lead. Not that you didn't know him before, but there's so much at a great level. What stood out to me is when you just said that scripture. I felt, sometimes you just say scriptures, right? Because it sounds good. But there's a difference when you become one with that word, when that word is actually written on the table of your heart and it manifests through your life because you have connected with it on a different level. So it was just so powerful. I'm going to give everybody else a chance to just pour back into you. Thank you so much for your transparency and sharing with us on today. That was so powerful.
I just want to first of all commend you for your courage. First of all, this is a fresh story. So these are fresh emotions, which means that the journey is certainly not over. And so for you to be willing already to empower others through what it is you're going through is incredible. There was 2 takeaways that I really had that stuck with me. And the first one was you choose what to hold on to, or it continues to hold on to you. And so you had this moment where you said, I hit a point where I had to choose to let go of certain things. Somebody who's listening today needed to hear that. It is choices. It's decisions. I got to put this down. It's not mine. The other thing that just jumped out at me, similar to what Dr. Venesia just said, was that there's this understanding. You said this, she was my girl. And I thought to myself, you lost your girl. You lost your man. So you needed to find you and find God. And so I'm just so happy that you're finding everything that you needed in the midst of the things that you've lost. And you've only just begun to find you and him, because there's levels and layers to finding what it is you're looking for.
For me, that was beautiful, Maurice, by the way. Very, very good insight into that. But for me, it really resonated with me because I was raised by my father's my grandparents, which is my father's parents. So I'm a grandma's and grandpa's girl too. They're respectfully 77 and 80 to date today. All right. So been married 61 years. It's a beautiful thing. But I also too had the privilege of meeting 3 great grandmothers, which many people can't say. So I know that rooted love. So kudos to you. Losing my other grandmother on my mom's side about 2 years ago, and knowing the shift that took for our family and the dynamics, it just means a lot. Because sometimes, it's not just about losing the person itself. It's about all the aftermath that comes after. Sometimes relationships are not the same. Sometimes people don't call as much. And it's just when that dynamic is broken, we don't talk about that other part of grieving. Well, dang, it used to feel this way, but it's not like that anymore. Or man, it used to be this tight knit, but it's not like that anymore. So for me, having experienced a very traumatic death of my aunt dying suddenly at 43 years old in 2013 and left 3 kids behind, it changed the trajectory of my life forever. Forever. It changed my family dynamic. It changed basically the path for her children, I believe. and it changed so much. So for me, knowing how deep death can hurt and cut, it took me nearly 7 years to really speak to the pain of the aftermath because I was so busy functioning in it. So my advice to you is you need to write that down and you need to be really clear about what your feelings are. You don't want to be 5 years down the line and not communicating in here what those feelings really are. Because I carried it for 7 years, literally, without knowing how to dump that. But I am in prayer with you. And like Maurice said, this is very fresh. And it will take other turns. There will be more tears. I won't lie on that. There will be more tears. There will be other turns. There will be different things that drive different thoughts. But staying rooted in their word and not only doing that, but taking that action beyond to say, these are my human feelings, and this is what I'm going to do with these human feelings to get to the next level.
Would you like to pull back in, Dr. Lashonda, sorry.
That's okay. Yes, ma'am. So just like the others, the thing that stood out to me, one of the things that stood out to me was your courage. I mean, this is not, and it's already been said, this is not something that happened years ago that you've already had a chance to work through and get, your healing. You are actually walking through this currently as we speak. And so for you to fight through, you even mentioned, your air going out and, things that's going on that try to stop you from showing up today. I commend you on your courage for just still showing up in spite of. And for me, it's like you took yourself out and you're thinking about the people that need to hear your story, those other people who's grieving right now from the loss. And so that's what stood out to me the most. And I will be standing with you. I know we just met, but prayer goes a long way. And being that I've been on your journey before, and that's the thing that helped pull me through. And so again, commend you for just fighting through and showing up and removing yourself from it so you could show up and encourage others.
Absolutely. I appreciate all of that because it is fresh, but here's the thing. It's like, I understand I'm going through this healing journey. I'm still walking in it. And the pain of my grandmother out, like that loss feels even more drastic than anything else that I lost. Like that one is like, but one thing that I have found comfort in and peace in is, one, I'm in my word, but two, like the Lord was so gracious enough to give me a dream. And when he gave me that dream, I knew that it was going to be different, but we good. Like she's good and I'm good and we're going to be good. And so it really is walking it out. And I love that you guys, saying this courage, but to me, it's just really being transparent. A lot of people don't want to be transparent in their businesses and in their coaching because we just want to feel like we're all put together. And that's not necessarily the case. I am letting people know that I who wants to air out their dirt, who wants to show the ugly part of pain. I believe one of you guys said that, the ugly part of pain. No one wants to do that, but it's necessary for other people to be able to be transformed. And that's what it's all about for me, is the transformation. Like, what are we doing if we're not transforming lives? Like, if we're not out here really trying to help people transform themselves and to be better people and to transform our own selves as well. So I appreciate it. I'm so grateful to be here. I talk more about this on my podcast, She's the Plug, and a couple of in this past season, season 2 and season 3 will be kicking off later on this year. So definitely stay tuned to continue to hear about the healing journey.
Thank you so much. So let's did you say your website as well where they can reach you? I know you mentioned your podcast, but please do, because usually I do that at the end, but listen, when people hear the story, they want to just write down, okay, because you know sometimes they be forgetting and they've lost that connection. So I just like connect now.
Okay. But you can connect with me and Takeya Necole. I actually have some devotional series out. It's the Equipped and Empowered series, devotional series, and the first book that's coming out is on survival, is on revival, and the next one is on surrender. So 21-day devotionals that you guys can definitely plug into. And again, you can visit TakeyaNecole.com to check those things out.
Thank you so much. Oh yes, a shameless plug right here. We do have the anthology coming out, From Pain to Purpose. So each and every one of the speakers, you are actually privileged if you want to be a part of the anthology that's coming out, From Pain to Purpose, literally walking in power. God dropped it in my spirit. And it's a whole thing. So I'm excited about that as well. So yes, let's go on to our next speaker, Chenadra. Did I get it right?
We're gonna work on it. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna
say it for me. I want to get it right. Say it for me.
Chenadra. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chenadra. See?
Hey, but really, ultimately for me, for pain, my story is that I had to get all the way tired. I'm not talking about a little bit tired. I'm talking about all the way tired, do or die. What's your next move? Is it gonna consume you? Who is gonna help you? What you gonna do? My back, it had got against the wall too many times. I'm not comfortable with it no more. I don't play with my time like that no more. It's too precious. It's crazy how people are flying and falling off this earth from ages, babies to elderly. We live in a crazy space right now. So for me, time is something that I don't play with. So for me, in 2020, that would come to a head for me. We were all going through the MAG syndrome. We were working from home. We were doing all these things, but I had an internal fight that was far bigger than any pandemic or anything else that anybody can put in front of me. I had at that time been in a 13-year financial services career, typically the only woman that looked like me, never really just had a peer. I told you I carried my aunt's grief for 7 years. I had a child by that time. I had so many factors that I didn't even deal with. So on the outside, it was this woman. She has this fancy financial services career. She got this family going on. She put her little clothes on. She do all that. But internally, that wasn't lining up. It's a really, really crazy thing when you not only hidden from the world, but you hidden from yourself. Y'all heard that? It's a real crazy thing when you not only hidden from the world, but you also too hidden from yourself. See, look, I teach a lot, and it's a couple people on here that's probably watching, so they know I bring this thing here out often. Y'all see this? I wore it. Y'all see the fear? Y'all see the insecurity? Y'all see the shrinking down? Y'all see the imposter syndrome? That's Walking Dead. Challenge me. That's Walking Dead. So I say, no, you know what? Now I'm tired in 2020. These people around this place is playing with me. We don't know what's going to happen in this world. I'm a whole mama out here walking dead. No, Chenadra, you better fix it. I mean fast. Because just like in this career, when you figured out everything they wanted you to do up in here, you finna figure it out for yourself. So when I told him, and I mean my father, when I finally said out of my mouth, I said, I got to get out of here. And it's like he said, I've been waiting on you to say that thing. You haven't even been talking to me clearly. You so foggy, you can't even tell me what you really want. It's clear now. So when I told him, I say, no, I gotta get out of this. I don't know what it's gonna look like. I don't know what it's gonna feel like, but I'm finna pick hard. Is it harder to stay over here and be unfulfilled, bogged down, broke down, black back? Is it harder to be over here, or is it going to be harder to try something else? You got to choose today. So that choice says, Chenadra, since you say you're not going to play with your time, you're going to choose this other path, and you're going to let it be hard. My family thought I was crazy, y'all, in 2021 when I say I'm out. Peace out. I don't, you're not the version that you knew years ago. She's gone. She don't play with voice and time and she don't do that no more. Period. They say she crazy. Is she going through like an early midlife crisis? What's wrong with that? You know, they wanted to support me the best way their mindset and their position and posture knew how to. But where I was going, there wasn't enough. And still some days today, it's not enough. So what does that mean? I had to truly say, you know what? For you, I live. For you, I die. Everything gets in the middle. We can work it out. We can get it right. So when I left, my job behind in the middle of a pandemic with, I think, 4-year-old son at that time, didn't really have a next, hadn't even built a product, hadn't really even built a service, hadn't built a following, hadn't really just built, to be honest, nothing like that in terms of the business world. But I did have a choice that I made, and I was steadfast about it. When I said that I was going to do it, I did it. Everything people have seen me on, from the BETs and the griots and the ABCs, the Fox, self-pitched. No connections, no prior media experience, no journalism background. Self-pitched. I say, now wait a minute. You have allowed, and it's not all your fault, so you're not going to blame it on you. You have allowed what the world, society, sometimes even your family, you have allowed them to place their beliefs on you. So now it's time that you equip yourself. You get some tools, strategy, stand on faith, and you do it. So oftentimes, people will talk about this whole notion, you go to the coaching, you go to this, you go to that, you go to the church, you go to this. But I'm like, where the action at? You gotta actually shoot the ball for it to go in. You can't be in the locker room all day with hopping you up with the pep rally and you gotta shoot the ball for it to go in. So I say, wait a minute. It's all these things that are going off and going on, and people are saying it is something new about you. It's just something different. I say, all that time that I didn't say anything, I was just a workhorse, and I just worked and worked and worked, and I did all this. I said he was protecting my voice because he knew that when it came out, it was going to be so clear. There was no doubt in anybody's mind that he sent me. It will never be a doubt. So when I tell people about pain, I say, how tired are you? Because I was tired a long time. I was tired for years. Years. You get into a place where you say, I think Maurice mentioned this earlier. He said, you can't even let anything in because you got so much stuff built up on the inside that you can't even let anything in to keep navigating this space and operating this space. And let me tell you something. If you're a woman, specifically a woman that looks like me, stop playing with your time. We out here getting paid pennies. You hear me? Pennies on a dollar with statistical data. Another catalyst, and I tell people this very transparently. And anytime I can say it, I say it. I discovered being underpaid thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to someone I managed for years. Had the proof. So while many of you will play with your worth and pain and all this kind of stuff, it's stuff going on around you that needs your voice. And I thought about that. I said, how selfish would that be of me to not have overcome X, Y, and Z and not tap somebody on the shoulder and say, baby, there's a way out. Nah. Who I serve don't operate like that. That's not who he was. That's not who he is. So when I got to thinking about that, it's been so many different aspects of pain that I've overcome. In terms of grief, we talked about it. In terms of self-worth, talked about it. And a lot of things we don't talk about in terms of being blinded in this world. See, sometimes pain comes from lack of knowledge. And we don't want to talk about that. A lot of pain, it's a lack of knowledge. When I started getting more knowledge and started leaning, I said, oh, it's a fix for that. Oh, people actually overcame that. Oh, people actually talk about that. Nah, you don't got to stay in it because they sold you that. They sold you that lie that you have to stay in it. I'm here to tell you, until you get clear in yourself and you call that thing out, you not only speak to the pain, but you take some actions behind it, you're going to be stuck. And I don't have a way to sugarcoat that. What you see in front of me is work, a testament of self-work. Me getting up every morning, you are worthy. You are who he said you are. Even when they tell you that you're not. You are in control of this. This is self-work. So it doesn't need a lot of prep because it is an actual thing of me saying this. I will not be a victim to pain. There is very much purpose in my pain. And from the time I leave this space that I'm in now to a later time, I'll be faced with more pain. But at least now I'm in a position to not be stuck by it. I'm not in a position to be lied to about it. And I'm not in a position to succumb to what somebody else does with their pain.
Wow. 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 That was so powerful. She said sometimes pain is a lack of knowledge. I don't know what it is. That was just a mic drop right there. So I don't think the people at the back heard. Sometimes pain is a lack of knowledge.
Yeah, very much so. A lot of that stuff that I was stuck in, I just didn't know. I just didn't know another way of life existed. I just say no. Period. I didn't know. But when I found out, I said, oh, baby, you let the wrong one out. Or maybe the right one. But okay, I got it now.
Absolutely. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing. That was just so powerful. I'm going to let our guest speakers pour back into you and share their takeaways as well. Go ahead.
You know, one of the things you said right at the beginning, you were talking about it was an internal fight. And it is so crazy because a lot of times when your back is, as you called it, against the wall, you start staring at what you think is the problem. And you're staring at what you think is also the solution. And you miss that the problem and the solution are actually on the inside. And that's what actually gets your back off the wall and into destiny. And so, you know, that was just so inspiring to me. There was something else you said. The real you is on the other side of that pain. Here you are wearing the mask, thinking that you're trying to protect yourself from the pain. And really the real you's on the other side of the pain. You find out who it is when you push through the adversity and when you push through the hard times. And so, you know, I'm proud of you. When you was talk about BET and all that stuff, I said, raise the bar then and make us go have to climb up that ladder and go get it. That's it. That drive. That set me on fire. Challenge accepted, challenge taken. I love it all. Thank you for your witness. Thank you for your testimony. That was fantastic.
You know, you said something at the beginning, which is I was shrinking, and I just shared this recently. Is God doesn't want you to shrink; He wants you to shine. And I resonated so much with that knowledge piece too, because like Venesia said, I'm like, that is the truth, and I know this from experience. And y'all are probably wondering like, how is she still doing this right now because it's so new? But one of the things that I had to do in this past last year is I wrote a book. I collabed on a book, and I asked the Lord for the words. He gave me the words, and now I had to live them out. So that knowledge piece is absolute truth. If I didn't have that, as I was going through it, went back and read the words, I was like, oh my goodness, they're right here. The knowledge is right here. So yes, very powerful. Loved everything about it.
Blessings, Dr. Lashonda, you can share.
Okay, so again, I'm just gonna piggyback. It was a very powerful testimony. There was quite a few takeaways, but for the sake of time, I'll just share the one that stood out to me the most, which is you said we hide ourselves from the world, but it's bad when we hide ourselves from ourselves, right? And so it was that mask for me because a lot of times we want to put the mask on thinking that we're fooling other people when really we're just fooling ourselves because we're not being honest with ourselves. And we want to put that mask on so that we don't have to face the things that we need to face to deal with the things that we need to deal with. I mean, like really dig deep down inside and really deal with those things that we're trying to mask and hide from ourselves in the world. So that to me stood out because I used to be the one wearing the mask. That used to be me. And when I knew that the key was to remove the mask and be honest with myself first, and then the rest came. But it starts with us. It starts with being honest with ourselves. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, that is a world of misery. Not being able to be honest with yourself and show up as yourself, not with the mask on. So I was empowered by everything that you said. And that was one of my biggest takeaways. Thank you again for your transparency as well.
Yes, that was powerful. It definitely was the mask for me. I love the visual of it. It was just amazing. Please feel free to let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. My website is www.blackorchidspr.com. Please make sure you go on there and subscribe for updates. We have a ton of stuff that is coming out for a very discounted price because today is my birthday. So y'all tell me happy birthday on today.
Happy
birthday! Oh my God! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! What? Mommy, how old are you now? You don't be asking those questions. She said she's not asking, she's singing. How she trying to get into my TV show? Go ahead. Birthday girl. Woo! What, that is just so phenomenal. Listen, we don't normally do this, but she gonna put her cash app and y'all so if you're led to sew, because she's serving on her birthday, and I'm gonna make sure I send her a birthday gift. Okay, let's go, Dr. Lashonda, please. Thank you for your patience as well.
No problem. So my journey from pain to purpose started, and I'll try to do it as quickly as possible, but it started for me at the age of 21, when, I thought I was living my best life. I was married to my high school sweetheart, and we had one daughter together already, and at the time she was 5 years old. And so our life completely changed within a matter of hours. I'm going to say it again, it changed within a matter of hours. And so what I mean by that is my daughter and I left our home that morning, and my husband he was perfect, no issues at all. We went to actually go visit my mom. That's where me and my daughter was headed to. And so we just knew we were going to see each other later that day. But as it turns out, that's not how our day ended. My husband at the time was the victim of a violent shooting. It left him paralyzed from the neck down. He had a trach, a ventilator that was required to sustain his life. So any kind of medical device to sustain a person's life, it was required, and he needed it in order for him to survive. And so in a matter of, I would say, 10 hours, I went from having a healthy husband, our beautiful family, to now I am a full-time mom, and I'm looking at the possibility of either being a widow, still having to raise a child, actually bring him home. And so that's what I chose to do. So from no rehabilitation, no step down unit, straight from ICU for about 6 months, I decided to bring him home to care for him. So and he lived, despite doctors saying his quality of life was going to be poor. Prior to him coming home, they tried to convince me to put him in what they called a skilled nursing facility. And I did not want to do that. It just didn't feel right. My heart just would not allow me to do that. Everybody kept saying, but you're so young, you have your whole life ahead of you. I understood that. But what I also understood was that at that young age, we said we do. And so that was no matter if we was 21 or 25 or 45. I had to stay true to my vows. And not only that, it was important for me to keep my husband and my daughter's relationship as tight as I could. So I didn't want to take her father away from her, and I didn't want to take his daughter away from him. So I made the best decision at 21 that would keep my family together. And so my entire 20s was dedicated to taking care of him and taking care of our daughter, who was 5 years old at the time. And so in that was God prepping me for my purpose. And I had to look at it and say, it wasn't about me. It was never about me. God just used me and my family for the situation, but it was for the families that I'm able to help now. It was for those other wives who find themselves right where I found myself at the age of 21. It was for them. It was for those wives with those children who feels like it's too much, they can't do it. That's who that was for. It was not about me. It was also about my husband at the time and my daughter. See, we had been together since we were 16 years old, but we didn't decide to get married until we were 21. So we had gotten married 3 months before this happened. And so I look at that and say, God knew he was going to need me. He knew he was going to need someone that would stand beside him and love him and care for him no matter what. Because his family was against bringing him home. They wanted him to go to a skilled nursing facility because they say it can't be done. You won't be able to do it. You're so young. The same thing, you have your whole life ahead of you. And my position was, We cannot say what cannot be done if we hadn't even tried it. And so that's the stance I took. Yes, it was painful. Yes, I had to make a lot of sacrifices. Yes, there were days that I did not sleep at all. Yes, there were days that I was promised I would have a nurse and I did not, and I had to do the care and be the mom. Yes, 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 all of that. However, I knew that God did not take me through that just to leave me and not be there. He was there every step of the way, even through the pain. He was there. Even down to the decisions that had to be made, because I was 21 years old. I had heard of a ventilator before. I heard of a trach before, but I had never been that up close and personal with any of these medical devices. I didn't know how any of this was going to play out. But I remember one day waiting in the ICU waiting room, and I just began to cry hysterically. And I said, God, you have got to show me what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know. And so from that point on, it's like he gave me this supernatural strength that did not come from me trying to do things on my own. It was God, and I know it was. Because there was no way at 21 years old I would have known or been able to find the answers that he gave me. Every decision that I made, it was because that's what he told me to do. And I trusted him and I trusted my heart. My heart just did not feel right. I felt like allowing them to put him in a skilled facility was me just throwing away, my marriage and the father of my daughters and the father of my daughter. I did not want to do that. My heart wouldn't let me. He was a great provider for me and had always been there for our daughter since birth. And so it just didn't feel right. And I say, people ask me all the time, if you had to redo it, would you redo it? I absolutely would. And I would redo it the same way I did it the first time. Because me being in that position means that that's what God wanted me to go through. And I can't ever regret the path that God chose to put me on. Because it grew me in ways that I would have never imagined. Never imagined. And so the thing that I want people to understand about their pain and their journey is that it's not always about them. We have to think about the reason why God puts us through these things. And then my other thing is that had I not been obedient and followed through with what God needed me to do, I would have stagnated other people. So my obedience is directly tied to somebody else's breakthrough. All of those families that we're able to serve now through the home care agency that was birthed from this place, I would not have been able to give those families exactly what they needed. I wouldn't have been able to understand it. So God allowed me to be on the other side of the table as the client. And I had to go through that for 7.5 years. So when I say I dedicated my entire 20s, I dedicated my entire 20s. But that was the process. I had to go through that in order for me to get where God needed me to be. God used that situation to position me to be the helping hand for all of those families and all of those wives that I have been able to reach down, reach back, reach up, reach forward, and pull them through a situation that looked like they were not going to make it through. That seemed impossible because the pain takes over. But I had to be the one to go through it. So I don't regret anything at all. I don't regret it. You cannot regret your past, but love where you stand. It doesn't work that way. And so from that, God gave me a vision. I did the home care agency after he passed away, years after he passed away. I started the home care agency, and we still have that. Then he gave me the vision to write my story. And so I have a book called Pain Equals Purpose. And that is my story. And that came after. And this is why I say I was wearing a mask, because God told me to share my story, told me to write the book. But I was only trying to share the pretty parts. I wasn't trying to share those ugly parts, the things that's not so glamorous and doesn't have the shiny things attached to it. And God said, no, share your story in its entirety. In its entirety. And so that book, when I listened to God and let go of the fear of what they were going to think, I was able to write the book and move past my fear of trying to hide those parts of my story. Everybody knew about the story because it made headline news. It seemed like every time I turned on the TV, that's all I saw. For months at a time, they kept talking about it, bringing it up. But nobody knew the depths of what I had to go through. Nobody knew what happened after he left the hospital. And so those were the parts that God forced me to share in my book. And that's what I did. And I am so glad that I did that, because there were so many people that stepped up, email, inbox, and just reach out and say, thank you so much for sharing your story. And then it gave them the courage to do the same. And so that's why I say it was so important for me to realize that it was never about me. Never about me. So that's my story.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. That was just so powerful. You know, as a believer, sometimes we can just over spiritualize things, but faith does not eliminate pain. It actually helps to transform that pain. And what I heard was your pain birthed out your purpose and produced the blueprint to help somebody else get through. So I just commend your resilience at 21 to, even though everybody else was saying something different, and that could have been, you know, the easy route out, you said no and you stood. And I think because of your obedience of that, that's why so much doors will open up for you. That's why your business will be blessed beyond your imagination. And it's your heart to serve. And you said several years, you know, you done what you had to do because you didn't want your family to be broken up, despite the challenges, despite, you know, what happened. You stood your ground. And I think that's just so commendable. And I'm going to allow the other speakers to share their takeaways and pour back into you, because that was just so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We don't talk enough about the fact that purpose has seasons, and the fact that purpose has specific assignments for seasons. And so I first commend her, not you, but her, that 21-year-old who said yes to her purpose, even though she didn't even know what she was completely getting herself into. She said yes, despite. That was the ultimate level of faith. And she fulfilled her purpose. And because she fulfilled her purpose, she birthed you. Mm. And so I give her, first and foremost, so much credit. And then I have to just look at you and be so thankful for now you saying yes to telling the whole story, for you walking in another level because you're capable of something she wasn't. You know what she didn't. You've now raised the daughter. You had to bury him. We kind of breezed by that in the story. There's so many things. And so your courage then and your courage now, saying yes to purpose then and purpose now, is so empowering, so insightful. And so thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Second all of that. But one of the things she said was you didn't know how you were getting your strength, and then you just relied heavily on God, and just reminded me of scripture where it says you're going to be strong in your weakness. And you could tell at that moment that in that version, that season, that you just didn't have enough. You didn't know you were capable of all that you were capable of until after, you know, looking back at it now and then being able to tell and share your story. And so, you know, I'm super proud. I'm super glad you're able to share that to encourage other people. And the another thing you said was people were looking at you like, you're so young, you got your whole life ahead of you. And I wonder, like, why we have that misconception of we get to choose when we get to go through things in our old age or even in young age, you know? And so that was powerful. I hope people didn't miss that either, because it doesn't, you don't get a choice in this. You know, it's God has the plans. He knows those plans. And so whether it's coming to you in old age or it's coming to you in young, you know, you like you said, are you going to grow through those things?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that was so good. And I think for me, really what came up for me, I mean, like if you haven't done the caregiving thing, the depths of that is something that's, I mean, I can't even put it into words. Like for me personally, from December until now, it's kind of been like a blur because my grandfather had open heart surgery on December 27th, followed by a stroke 10 days later. So that means the elderly grandmother and the elderly grandfather. For 3 consecutive months, I went from downtown Houston to my home, which is like an hour drive. Never missed a day. Paid for parking every day, paying for food every day, trying to run a business, raise a child. I want to be clear about it. So that caregiving thing is something at my age, in my mid 30s, was so challenging to grasp. The love was there, but me trying to figure it out in terms of time, me trying to figure it out in terms of resources, very limited and very lonely, straight up.
Yeah.
All these people around me, but I'm carrying a muscle. So at 21, my mind can't fathom it, Dr. Lashonda. I'm serious. My mind literally, I can't wrap my mind around that. Because 6 months, I feel like I've aged by 2 years over these 6 months. And I'm not complaining, y'all. I'm very grateful that I've been able to do it. But it has been tough. It has been tough managing 2 households, tough managing doctor's appointments, tough managing physical therapy, tough getting prescription refills, tough doing the grocery shopping. It's real life stuff. You know, we'll talk about the careers and all the stuff. You know, we wrote the books and stuff, but that everyday life stuff is tricky.
Yes.
It's tricky. I learned so much about myself in these past 6 months with the caregiving thing. I had a lot of mental stuff. I see my grandfather, who was up until the time he had the stroke, was still running 5 miles a day, was still cooking his own food, going to church every Sunday, working on cars, cutting yards. Also, me, my real life hero, be minimized and couldn't move at all for months. So mentally, I'm reconciling who I miss, this man, right? While still trying to do the everyday task. They don't talk about it. So for you to do that at 21, Dr. Lashonda, I mean, I'm telling you, I really, for one, an applause to you. And caregivers and people that take care, they don't get far enough credit for what they do, because it's all day. It's all day. I mean, there was a period where even in the middle of the night we were having scares of him falling and we can't lift, and I'm leaving my house to go there, and I got to get up in the morning and do a podcast. I got to get in the morning and teach a class. Nobody's talking about that, and I still have to show up and pour. People are coming to see me pour. So, Dr. Lashonda, what you did, it's definitely not in vain. And if I can tell you, out of all the stuff that I've done, I've talked about the hard stuff, being in there, seeing my grandfather go through that, and me not being able to truly just fix it, and him trying so hard. That's nothing. That is nothing small. So for you to touch on that and me to actually see that and still be very close to it, things have progressed since December. Up until now, it has progressed. Things are a little bit better. But the reality is, I know where they are in age. So I'm not into a place to where I'm like in this comfort state to where it was when I felt they were totally independent. So all of my days are filled with the what's next. Or am I going to have to stop something at any minute to go over there and help and serve? So always having it on my back, always thinking about, am I really going to be able to travel and go that long? I can't imagine being away for 4 or 5 days. I just can't. It just changes your psyche and how you move through life. So my hats go off to you, Dr. Lashonda. I am commending you for doing something that you did for years. And just in 6 months, I know the toll that's taken on me mentally and physically and emotionally. So to be that young and so fresh in the world, I want you to know I'm giving you your roses today. I am telling you, I appreciate you. I am telling you that you need to keep telling people, especially young people, that life can change, kids can change. Caregiving is a whole is a whole thing out there.
Yeah.
And we need people from our community talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it happens. And it affects everything. The finances, if they're not set up right, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about. It affects all of that. So to stand here, so Dr. Venesia said, you serving on your birthday. God has kept me, y'all. Y'all, he's kept me. So if I got the opportunity to stay and pour and get somebody across the hump, I'm going to do it. I don't care about no birthday. Every day my birthday, okay? He kept me.
Dr. Lashonda, you'd like to respond and also let everyone know how they can connect with you as well.
Yes, so I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you for the invite and the opportunity to be here. And thank you to all the other speakers here. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I feel honored just being able to share the virtual space with you guys. As far as how you can stay connected to me, my Facebook is my name, Dr. Lashonda Wofford. I also have a private community for women. It's called All Bets on Me. And that's just a space where it's safe. I'll drop motivational things in there, inspiring. I share stories, different things to just keep the women lifted up and inspired and encouraged. I also have a website, which is www.drlashondawofford.com. And I also have a podcast. It's called All Bets on Me Podcast. So that's how you can stay connected with me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank all of our guests on today. We are at the final few minutes of the broadcast today. But as everyone was speaking, this passage of scripture came to mind, James chapter 1, verses 2 and 4. And it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking anything.
That's right.
I'm going to say that last part one more time.
Yeah.
Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. I need you to know that each and every one of you and all of those listening right now, no matter what you face, no matter what you go through, you are not lacking nothing. You have everything that you need within you. I need you to know that. I need you to know that even here, as we are today, speaking about pain, speaking about from pain to purpose, speaking about our journeys, there's so many different levels of pain to purpose because we can go through so many things. Sometimes it's in our childhood. Sometimes it's what we're going through right now. Sometimes it's what we've been through. Sometimes the very thing that's going to be most impactful is the thing that's to come that we have not even experienced or overcome yet. But it's how we get up and have a determination to continue. Have a heart. And what I love about each and every one of you is you was able to shift from me to how am I going to help somebody else? How am I going to use what's happened to me? What lessons can I pull out of what took place? That part that was pain now becomes power because I've taken out the tools that was needed to help mend somebody else, to help empower somebody else, to help give them the strategies to be able to overcome. I don't even know if you know how powerful you all are. Because you was able. Because you are still here. There's so much, as Miles Monroe would say, waste purpose in the graveyard. But I thank God that you lot are all here today, encouraging others not to give up, encouraging others to continue. It's not easy, but it is worth it. There's a process that we each have to go through, and we can't conceal our pain. We cannot, whatever we conceal, we cannot heal from. We have to confront it to be able to get healed, get peace, get joy, take back our power. Because who knows, sometimes in the midst of pain, it's like you're giving up your power. But there comes a place where you just have to come to yourself and be like, no. Get tired of being tired. Something has to change. So I thank God for each and every one of you for not only knowing that there needs to be change, but becoming the change that you want to see. Because that's why you're here today just sharing. It's been so powerful. And as we wrap up on today, I want to give each and every one a chance to just share their final words. And we have a thing on Venesia Empowers, where as you share your final words, I want you to think about what has been. I know you may have had a lot of advice, you know, in your life, but as we're sharing on today about From Pain to Purpose, what has been the most impactful advice that you have received that really gave you that strength, that courage to continue? Because I know there's people watching that you can inspire as we share our final thoughts on today. Just think about that advice that if you could talk back to yourself then, what is it that you would say? What's that one bit of advice? And we're just going the same order on the screen. Dr. Lashonda, okay, yes, go ahead. If y'all remember the order, because it's all juggled up on my screen.
I'm sorry. So the one thing that I want to leave with everybody is just remember that you have the power to activate choices, right? To use the power of choices. And so when we find ourselves in situations, painful situations, we have what we need to activate the power of choice. So we can choose to stay there and have self-pity and wallow in it, or we can choose to confront it, figure out why we're there, what lessons we're supposed to get from it, and move to the next level. So that's what I have to leave with everyone today. You asked about the piece of advice that was shared. That was one of the pieces of advice that was shared with me by one of the respiratory therapists. You get to choose how this ends, is what she said.
Maurice, wow, you get to choose. That's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I remember I was about a year into my life recovery, and I had just gotten my credentials and become a counselor, and I was just working on myself. And I remember that one of my first mentors pulled me aside and she said, God doesn't want anything but for you to become Maurice. You don't need to become anybody but him. And I remember getting very frustrated and saying, well, who in the heck is that? And she said, well, if you would just lean into discovering it, you'll find out. So the greatest advice that I could ever say to anyone is, the world doesn't need for you to become another Dr. Venesia or another Dr. Lashonda. Like, the world does not need you to become any of us. But what the world needs for you, what God needs from you, is for you to lean into the pain and into the healing and into the process and into the journey and become the greatest, healthiest, fullest version of you that the world could ever see. When you become that, you won't have to worry about purpose, because you'll be purpose. Purpose isn't something you do. Purpose is something you become. And everything that you touch and everyone that you're around, purpose will exude from you in that space. So the greatest thing I can say is become the real you, and you cannot become that without healing from your pain.
Woo!
Really
Yo,
short.
make sure you listen to that podcast.
I like mine real short and simple because this has carried me through this past season, and what I realized in previous seasons is God wastes nothing. He's not going to waste your pain. And the other thing I will say is the promise will be better than the pain. When Joseph got up there to his promise, I'm sure he looked back and was just grateful, because that's what he said to his siblings. So listen, man, I had to come before you. I had to go before you guys to make the way. So I'm considering it all joy. And so that's what I would say is God wastes nothing, and keep going, because the promise is better than the pain.
Powerful. The promise is greater than the pain.
Yeah, pain is not final. I mean, we've all are testaments of that today. I think that's the most beautiful thing. I think the fact that we've all been able to go through our pain, and here's the thing: we're still going to have to go through more, likely, before our time is up. But what we're doing is not only going through our pain, but telling other people that there's a way out, and that's what makes the difference. The other part of it, you have to remember that you are enough. When your Father created you, he knew just that. He didn't make a mistake in your construction. The pain is not a surprise to him. So when you can reconcile with the fact that you are enough, which means that he's equipping you, he's equipped you, you have to tap into that. He's equipping you with the things to get past that, and knowing that in him, as cliche as it sounds, that all things are truly, truly possible. Even those things you can't see. Because sometimes when you can't see beyond the pain, that's when it gets a little bit confusing. Well, they say that, pain is over there, but it's so gloomy over there, I can't see through it. Knowing that he can guide your steps. Knowing that he has equipped you and called you his own, created the space, the time, you specifically. You got to step back and not take it so personal. Because what you've heard today is 5 different avenues of pain. All of them look different. Every last one of them look different. But here we all are standing on the other side of it. So don't take your pain personal and thinking that your pain is a mountain and this person over here has a hill. That's not who our Father is. You got to know him to understand how this thing really works. Ain't none of us exempt from it. And the last thing is this: just show a little bit more empathy. Because it's real talk that people don't look like what they've been through. And don't you judge her pain against her pain. You show some empathy. When you get clear about solving pain and you doing it for yourself, you have a clear lens for what other folks go through. And I mean that.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you all so much for joining on today. It has been phenomenal. We have truly been so empowered. Listen, if you're on here now, I need you to make sure you share. I need you to make sure you like and really get this broadcast out there so more people can really be encouraged. Make sure you please do connect with each and every one of our speakers on today. Connect to what it is that they're doing, because that's one thing about Venesia Empowers. We know the power of connecting. We know the power of community and really encouraging one another. So I want you to take the time out to encourage them, give them some social media love right now. Begin to hire up on their pages and do all that phenomenal stuff. Make sure you also stay connected. We have series 5 next week. Can you believe it? This was supposed to be a 4-part series, but God knows what he is doing. So I'm just yielding to what God is doing. So we are going to take this all the way into July. Yes, I said it. We're going into July. So make sure you definitely stay connected. Make sure you also remember that we've got the Repairers of the Breach gathering coming up in August, and that will be in New York. So yes, I am coming to New York. I am so extremely excited about that. One of my passions is really serving, honoring people, especially in what it is that they are doing, because sometimes when you're doing so many things, you feel unappreciated. You feel sometimes, when you're encouraging, who encourages the encourager? Who equips the equipper? You understand? So I just love pouring back into leaders, honoring them. So we have some leaders that are going to be getting their honorary doctorate degrees in kingdom leadership, kingdom entrepreneurships, and Christian humanities. So I'm excited about that as well. And coming to America is going to be great. So if you've been blessed by this broadcast today, if you want to connect to me, you can go to www.venesiaempowers.com. Make sure you go to the website. I'm the author of the book, The Power of Renewing Your Mind and Turning Point: How God Turned My Darkness into Marvelous Light. So be encouraged. I want to encourage you as we're just closing on today. Whether you're a believer or not on today, you've just tapped in at the right time, because I know God wanted you to hear, this word on today. He is able to give you beauty for your ashes. He is able to give you joy instead of your mourning. He's able to divinely turn things around. So be encouraged on today that today is your day to arise and shine. Today is your day to walk in power, purpose, and prosperity, to live life by faith in abundance. So if you believe that you receive that today, make sure you put it in the comment. I'm Dr. Venesia Williams. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. God bless you. Once again, thank you for tuning in.